Tyler here with Franchise Sidekick. I'm with Mike and Ross, and today we're going to be chatting about why you shouldn't just start a business by yourself, why franchising is such a better option. So let's lead into it and have a little chat here. So, we've seen a boom in franchising over the last couple of years, especially with savvy investors. And honestly, guys, the big question sometimes is why don't I just do it myself? So, if that question comes up with a client you're working with, what would you respond with?
Yeah, a lot of it especially the clients that I deal with, they're looking for time, right? That's why they're buying the franchise. Honestly, that's why they're investing in anything, is they're trying to leverage a bigger return off of the time that they have. Yep. So instead of, starting from scratch and spending the years and the money to figure out logos and marketing and make sure that it's a product fit, they're leveraging someone else's sweat equity and being able to buy that experience and buy that so they can speed it up faster where they're already starting to hit the return versus the franchisor had to spend 8 years to get there.
100%.
So a lot of it's just time.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Absolutely. I mean, owning my own business previously and going through all the different concepts and ideas and trying to get them all onto paper, you think about your marketing plan, the initial investment, who's going to be answering the phones in the background. When you think about franchising, it has everything to do with support. And then how do you judge yourself with the KPIs? Yep. You're able to leverage those KPIs with other franchisees and know where you're at in comparison to them. Whereas if you open your own business, you have no comparisons. What does good look like? It's really hard to determine what that is and what it will end up looking like. Yeah.
Especially in the service sector right now, because service businesses are big. So if you think about gutters, insulation, irrigation, things like that, that's a natural thing. You're like, I can do this myself. But then you think about all the stuff we talked about, plus you throw on, for instance, your network. So speak on that real quick. What's that look like from a network perspective?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, honestly in my career, I leverage that network even more so than I leverage corporate sometimes, right? Because corporate's giving us the direction and the vision, but it's my fellow franchisees that are boots on the ground, seeing the things live action, just like I am. And you talk about these service industries and, why would you not do it yourself? Do you have a passion for gutters? Mm-hmm. Most of my investors don't,
Yep.
right? So if you're wanting to do it on your own, then you have that time. You're thinking gutters all day instead of it's an investment. Yep. Use it as such, So I always tell my people, if it's a passion you want to spend all the time, yeah, go do it. But if it's an investment, I couldn't care less about my stock portfolio. I'm not in there boots on the ground. Pay that money and get your time back and do something else that you're passionate about.
Absolutely. Think about your 9-to-5ers that are looking to get out of what they're doing today. That's a big piece. Now, most guys will tell you, hey, I want to open a bar. Everybody wants to open a restaurant. But a lot of them are just wanting to get out of that day-to-day grind. How do they do that? Well, you're able to do that by having clear processes and procedures set up in order to feel confident and mitigate that risk of going out and doing it yourself. So that's a big key for me and a lot of my clients that are just trying to segue out of their 9-to-5 or even start a side hustle and get up and running. So understanding just the processes and procedures is such a big deal to my group.
Yeah, you can't start a business to be semi-absentee, right? That just doesn't work.
Right.
But with franchising, a lot of our clients, they want to be semi-absentee. They want to have a side business. They want to leave their 9-to-5 in that scenario. They're not going to be really semi-absentee, but potentially because they don't want to have that 9-to-5 situation. So those processes are important. All that really plays into it for sure.
Yeah, well, think about training from a training standpoint. You're coming out of something into a new segment that you may not be familiar with. We talked about these service industries. Historically we look at whether it's insulation, it could be water mitigation, it could be gutters. Folks are not going to understand what that industry looks like. So there's some hesitancy about getting into that market. But once you sit down and you start reviewing the training that goes involved, the marketing support, the support from the corporate office, it really does help mitigate the risk in owning your own business and realizing that dream that you have of doing so.
Sure.
Well, you talk about all these, processes and support and all that kind of stuff. Every business has to do the same things, right? Every business does marketing, every business does sales, every business does payroll and training and all that kind of stuff. The difference is whether you have to do all of it yourself or you pay a really small royalty and have half of that off of your plate day one.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned the other day about the brain power. I think you said for the royalty. So touch on that because I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's one of my clients that, man, a ton smarter than me, he owns multiple businesses. He sees it as he is buying someone else's brain power. He's going for 6% of mine. I get all of your thoughts, all of your experience, all of your support.
Yep.
He's like, it is the cheapest employee that I've ever hired in my life, is the guy that knows every nitty gritty piece of it. And all I gotta do is give him 6% and I get 94, right? So many people think the other side of it and they go, oh my God, corporate gets 6%. And you're going, yeah, you get 94 for all the things they've spent 10 years building.
Yep.
I'll make that trade every day.
100%. We deal with a lot of emerging brands, right? Finding the next big thing, that's what we're good at. And so you're buying and investing into a brand when they're early on. So you're gonna reap the benefits in 5 years when they have national accounts locked down, when they have this national buying power, and you're gonna reap the benefits at still the same royalty, which is incredible.
Yeah, think about all the big franchise names that you can think of. You could drive down any main street and see 50 of them, right? Can you imagine being on the front end of that in the very first FDD when the royalties are at their lowest, when it's the best opportunity to get in with the prime territories available? That does not happen every day. And you can go try to seek that out today, but there's 4,000 franchises out there today plus. I mean, it becomes a bit overwhelming.
Yeah. And those ones that take off fast, most of our clients don't have that experience or their thumb on the pulse to be sitting there going, ooh, a new franchise came out, let's go, right? That's why they go through a proven process to go, okay, I can go, right? I have a real estate agent. Anytime there's a property that we're looking at or is hot on the market, it's not my job to go find it. It's my real estate agent's job to go, hey, Mike, I got this great opportunity. Here it is. Know all the specs. Again, it comes back on every single piece. Time. Stay in your lane, do what you like to do, and outsource the rest. Right? One of my mentors always says, your job as an investor is not to figure out the how, it's to figure out the who to do the how.
Sure.
It's perfect.
Competitive wise, think about competition. So you're starting your own business all by yourself. Who are you competing against? You're competing against what, yourself or the local establishments in town, but you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what their numbers look like. In the franchising community, you now have this group of people that aren't only a resource to you, but they're a barometer for your success. And they hold you accountable at the corporate office to make sure you're keeping up with what you need to be doing. And if you're slipping, they're there to support you. You don't have that if you're not franchising.
Okay, so we really figured out obviously why you should buy a franchise, right? We established that. So talk to me, Mike, a little bit about next steps or what would you recommend that people watching this video do next?
Yeah, I think, we talked a lot about one side of the coin. We talked a lot about the franchise. Well, the more important part is the client, right? We gotta find that where that melts. And that's what our process is, right? That's what we do for a living. That's what we talk about all the time. And that's where the Sidekick 7 comes in, right? It's our process that makes sure we match both of those coins, right? The best brand for Tyler, not the best brand for me, right? So figuring out, cool, we know franchising. We know the best franchises. We gotta figure out the best one for you.
100%.
So that's our process. Reach out to an advisor and really let us be your sidekick, right? It sounds super cheesy,
Yeah.
but we're right there, right next to you,
Yeah.
doing this process every single day for clients. That's what we love to do, right?
Yeah.
We're the who to help you do the how.
And sometimes we forget this process is free, right? Like people, like I've had a lot of people like, dude, this is super expensive. Like how am I gonna pay for this if I don't buy a franchise? Our services are free. So if you obviously buy a franchise, the brand actually pays us to do that. They all pay us the same. It's a completely objective approach, but like this service is free for our clients.
I always go back to this. When every person I talk to, I've talked to them before. And I don't mean that direct person, but that exact person. Whether you're quitting your 9 to 5 or you're an investor and you're adding multiple brands, or maybe you just want to start a side hustle where you want to get it off the ground and you have a managing partner to run it. What I want everyone to know is I've talked to you. I talk to you every single day, and I've helped hundreds of individuals just like you realize their dreams. And so it takes away kind of that anxiety. Why would you go to a realtor to buy a house? you know what a house looks like, you know what a house price is. It's all the other pieces that really tie that together that add the value, it drives the value that we add back to our clients. Because we meet with you, we've talked to you before.
Also, it's funny because we've talked to you. A lot of times we are you.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of us, we've
Yeah.
bought brands. We are buying brands. We have a 9 to 5
Yeah.
helping people do this. It is something that we are passionate about, right? We talked about earlier with picking a brand. Why not go into gutters? Well, if you're not passionate about doing gutters, don't do it. Find an expert that does.
Yep.
Are you passionate about reading FDDs? Do you even know what the heck an FDD is? Probably not. But we do because we're passionate about it. So tap into someone else's passion for it and do the part that you like to do. That's really the biggest thing.
Well, how would you sum that up? Live life on your terms.
Love it.
Right.
Love it. All right, guys, well, that's it for today. Franchise Sidekick, but that was great stuff. So see you next time.